Black folks who grew up poor in the 1970s didn't even know what they were missing. You probably figured everybody's mama stretched a dollar the exact same way yours did. Back then, making something out of nothing was more than just survival. It was an art form passed down with love, strict discipline, and a whole lot of ingenuity. Looking back now, it is easy to see the struggle, but it is just as easy to smile when you think about sitting in that kitchen on a Saturday morning. You can almost hear your mama's voice coming from the other room right now. These memories aren't about lack, they are about the love that filled the gaps. So here they are. These are the signs that you might have grown up poor in a black household in the 1970s and why those days made us who we are. It started with smoking grease in the kitchen. Mama would heat that straightening comb right on the stove burner until it was glowing hot. Then came the sharp scent of Dixie Peach, Blue Magic, or bergamot grease hitting the hot metal. You had to hold your own ear down tight so it wouldn't get burned. She always did the sizzle test on a wet napkin. There was no salon for us. This was kitchen beauty school, and you sat still or else. You wore sponge rollers at night just to be ready for Sunday. You had one good outfit that only came out for church, Easter, or funerals. For girls, it was white tights and patent leather shoes. For boys, it was a stiff collared shirt and hard shoes that hurt your feet. You changed the second you got home. No playing outside in those clothes. Soul Train came on right after cartoon, and that was your cue to hush and watch. You practiced the Soul Train line moves in the living room, trying not to knock over the lamp. Don Cornelius's voice in that long, slow Peace, Love, and Soul set the tone. You learned the latest dances because you couldn't afford parties or the club. The TV might have needed pliers for the channel knob, but this was your window in the black style. Mama could turn neck bones, ham hocks, or chicken backs into a pot that fed everybody. Gizzards and gravy poured over white rice was a staple. Pinto beans and cornbread counted as a full, satisfying dinner on many nights. Fried bologna with the edges curling up was actually considered a treat. You learned to clean every bit of meat off those bones. Wasting food was a sin, and there was always Kool-Aid in the pitcher. You drank water every day, but Kool-Aid meant company was coming or it was payday. That big block of hard orange government cheese sat in the fridge like a brick. You mixed powdered milk with water, but it never quite tasted like the real thing. Then there was the government peanut butter in that plain brown or white container. You likely had free or reduced lunch at school. Food stamps were used quietly in the checkout line. These programs didn't feel political. They were just how you stayed fed. Margarine tubs turned into Tupperware replacements. Cool Whip containers held leftovers, buttons, beads, or hair supplies. Bread bags were reused as sandwich bags in lunch boxes. Aluminum foil was smoothed out. If a container came with a lid, it was used until the writing rubbed off. You smell that? That's me burning your behind up. The thermostat, the front door, and grown folks' conversations were off limits. Mama had a look from across the church aisle that would straighten your whole spine. You ate what was cooked or you went hungry because there was no separate kid menu. When the street lights came on, you went home. No debate. You didn't ask for anything in the store. Your school shoes came from Payless, Kmart, or Kenny, never the expensive brands. Cardboard got slipped inside when the soles wore thin or had holes. Tennis shoes had to last the whole school year, even once they started talking at the toe. Good shoes stayed in the box except for church. You walked the neighborhood hunting for glass bottles for the 5 or 10 cent deposit. Maybe you had a paper route in the cold before school. You babysat cousins or helped elders with yard work for a few dollars. You learned money came from work. The old family car needed jumping off or a push start every few days. Everybody knew their role. 2 people pushed, 1 steered, and 1 popped the clutch. The windows wouldn't roll down and the AC never worked. Mechanics cost too much, so you rode it till the wheels fell off. That car still got you to church. The comics section of the newspaper was used as colorful wrapping paper. Brown grocery bags were cut open so kids could decorate them with crayons. Birthday gifts were mostly socks, underwear, or school clothes. Christmas might have had one or two presents, but they felt huge. The real event was family. School essays like, "What I did this summer were hard when you had not much to say." You played outside all day with double dutch, stickball, or fire hydrant sprinkler. The city pool or the front porch counted as your vacation spots. Maybe one big trip to visit cousins down south by Greyhound. Your summer still ended up full of memories, just the free kind. I'm not paying to heat the outside rang through every black household. You were told to put on a sweater instead of touching the dial. Fans sat in windows in summer and space heaters came out in winter. Every flick of a switch carried a price tag, and parents felt it. Saturday nights meant getting scrubbed raw in the bathtub because you were not going to God's house dirty. Your hair got pressed, greased, and wrapped tight to stay perfect. Church wasn't optional. It was the weekly meeting of your whole world. After service, you piled into someone's house for Sunday dinner. The members looked out for you like extra aunties. This was your social network, your therapy, and your safety net, all rolled into one. Back then, neighbors knew your full name. And when your mama got off work, you borrowed sugar without shame because everybody was in the same boat. Adults had permission to correct you if they caught you slipping. Block parties and domino games happened right on the porch. Being poor hurt less when everybody around you was carrying the load together. You had a front room that stayed spotless for company. The couch was covered in thick plastic that stuck to your legs in summer. The glass coffee table was lined with ebony and family photos. You weren't allowed to run or breathe hard in that room. That pristine space represented the dignity and life your parents felt they deserved. Every block had a candy lady selling pickles and chips from her door. You remember bright Kool-Aid freeze cups in styrofoam that you peeled down layer by layer. A quarter could stretch into a feast with chips and a pickle stuffed with a peppermint. Parents trusted her to watch you. That tiny business kept the kids close to home. Joy didn't cost money when you had basement parties with Christmas lights and records spinning. Kids peeked at grown folks two-stepping. Big speakers in the window blasted Marvin Gaye for the street. Block parties turned the asphalt into a dance floor with pots of wings feeding everyone. No cover charge, just music, neighbors, and a break from the grind. You remember the smell of Afro Sheen and that black fist comb. Later, it was Geri curl juice soaking into pillowcases. Relaxers and cuts were done in the kitchen by mama. The smell of chemicals and burning grease hung in the air. Salon visits were for emergencies. Hair wasn't just looks, it was identity and a serious expense managed at home. Privacy was a luxury, so 3 kids slept in one bed. When cousins visited, you made pallets on the floor from quilts. You fell asleep to the hum of a box fan and sirens outside. Bedrooms doubled as storage and play spaces. You learned to sleep through snoring and TV. It didn't feel like overcrowding. It just felt like family. You might have been a latchkey kid, wearing the house key on a shoelace under your shirt. You came home to an empty house and called mama at work. The instructions were clear. Take the chicken out and do homework. The rule, "Don't open this door for nobody," was drilled into your head. You answered the phone like a grown-up. If you lived in the projects, everybody knew everybody. Hallways held a mix of cooking smells and pine song. Kids played double dutch in the courtyard until the lights came on. Roach traps were as normal as furniture. You had extra locks on the windows for safety, but inside, families kept things spotless. There was immense pride in the middle of the struggle. You knew bus schedules by heart because the family didn't have a car. You took long rides with transfers just to get to the good grocery store. You held on to paper transfer slips, praying you didn't lose them. Grocery trips were limited to what you could carry. The bus route shaped your world, where you worked, shopped, and went to school. You knew what those colored shutoff notices meant. Parents had to choose which bill to pay, lights, gas, or rent. Some nights, lights got cut off and you did homework by candle. You used the oven for heat when the gas bill fell behind. You heard mama asking for an extension. You didn't know the numbers, but you felt the tension. Laundry was an all-day chore. Without a fancy washer, you used a tiny machine, the laundromat, or the bathtub. You wrung clothes out and hung them over radiators. Saturdays meant hauling big bags and a pocket of quarters to the wash house. Line-dried towels were stiff, but they smelled like outside. It was hard work just to stay clean. Your pantry was full of white boxes labeled just corn flakes. You ate off-brand cereal from plastic bags. Store-brand soda only showed up for parties, stretched with ice. Meat had markdown stickers because it needed to be cooked that day. Parents scanned circulars like accountants. Brand loyalty was a luxury. The cheapest option won every time. When someone was short on rent, the community threw parties. Spades slammed on the table until the record player clicked off. A big pot of gumbo fed the crowd while a shoebox passed to collect cash. Kids half slept in back rooms, listening to laughter. It was mutual aid long before anybody called it that. Just people helping people survive. The doctor was only for when something looked truly serious. For everything else, there was Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest. You swallowed castor oil or molasses for your own good. Hot toddies with lemon-cured coughs. Go lay down was the first prescription. Healthcare costs money, but home remedies cost nothing but time and a whole lot of love. You hustled to join the band or play sports. You sold candy bars and raffle tickets to pay for uniforms. Parents sighed at fundraiser packets, but did what they could. You asked neighbors to buy just one. Sometimes you dropped activities because fees were too high. You used hand-me-down instruments, realizing talent needed money behind it to go far. But nothing showed our spirit like homegoing. The church would be packed, shoulder to shoulder, with neighbors standing in the back. Families often pooled insurance money or church offerings just to afford a simple casket. But the real comfort happened downstairs at the repast. You sat on metal folding chairs, eating fried chicken, green beans, and pound cake, while kids ran between grown folks' legs. Quiet envelopes of cash were passed to the grieving family to help them stay afloat. Even in mourning, the community turned limited means into shared dignity and deep comfort. Looking back, growing up poor in a black family in the 1970s and 80s taught you way more than you realized. You learned resilience, creativity, and the power of a village. Those hot comb Saturdays, Soul Train mornings, Kool-Aid dinners, and candlelight nights weren't just about scraping by. They were about holding on to your culture and love when the money was thin. We didn't know what we were missing because we had each other. So, what did I miss? I know you have memories that belong here. Drop your own stories in the comments below so we can keep this history alive. And make sure to share this video with someone who grew up the same way so the next generation understands exactly what their elders survived and built from almost nothing.